people? Welcome to another episode of Daddy Then Shh. It's your boy 95.
It's Saya.
It's Chocolate Dad.
Styles.
Yo, why you keep laughing? It's chocolate. Yo, if I keep saying it, it's gonna grow on people. Y'all don't get it.
It's
like
growing,
I said,
man. I don't even know this
it's
guy's real
Chocolate
name.
Dad.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's gonna be the 100th
CD?
episode. It's still
Okay,
talking about.
all right. Call yourself what you want. All good. But
All right,
anyway,
CD.
Yeah, word. It's a pause moment right there.
I ain't calling you no
Yeah,
Chocolate
we
Dad.
No, that's no. But welcome everybody. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend. Make sure you share the good news about what we're doing over here. And I appreciate everybody, like I said, for tuning in and listening to what we got to say about, being some dope dads and whatnot. Speaking of dope dads, so how y'all been for the last week and a half into all this lovely New York City trash snow?
Work like a dog.
I can't relate to working like a dog.
Nah, I'm working like a dog. I don't think a dog can work as hard as I was working.
Dogs work that hard.
But I ain't gonna front though. This week been stressful, bro. Cause it's like time management. I gotta still work. I get up, around 8 o'clock because we got these morning meetings.
You get up at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, roll over.
That's
log in.
super stressful, ain't it?
It must be nice, right?
Get up at 8 o'clock.
Bro, you start at 9. Don't leave your house till about 12.
But I'll be up though.
4:30.
Listen.
Yo, I'm on my first conference call at 5:40 every morning.
Listen, the career you chose is none of my business, bro. That's the path you decided to
I ain't
take.
mad at that. You didn't do my application.
But you'll get more. I know there's times where you'll get 5, 6, 7 days in a row off. Like we get that, but
I don't know about that.
You talking about me?
yeah.
I work 6 days straight.
Bro, so there's be
Don't
times.
worry about it, man.
There be
Don't worry
times
about it.
9 5 is like, yo, I don't go back to work till next Wednesday. I'm
Nah,
like,
I mean, it is because I work so when I'm on shift, right? So I do work a 12-hour rotating schedule. So like, I'm not gonna bore everybody with how it runs, whatever. So like, I was actually happy. I was wondering how y'all doing with the snow. Because every single time for the last 3 years, when it's bad weather, I either started my rotation or I'm in the middle of my rotation. Mad as hell. Busy, 16 hours, 18 hours, run home, take a nap, run back. So now with my son, it was probably way worse. But the snow started last week, Sunday. I was on nights. So when it's snowing, everything's quiet. Let it fall. Monday was snowing. I slept through the whole night shift. Don't nobody snitch on me. And then Tuesday, so Monday night to Tuesday, it's all good.
They were, right?
I know, but so then Monday night into Tuesday at work, got a little busy, but so Tuesday morning when I finish at 7 a.m., I'm off from Tuesday morning to this past Monday morning.
see, that's a whole week.
It is, but you gotta understand.
I don't be getting that now.
But in my 5-week rotation, the amount of hours that I work covers most people's 2 months because I'm at work for 12 hours every time I'm at work.
Gotcha.
So it balances out. So it's stressful at times, but it is great. Like, yo, I'm out for a week. So
you're not on the same rotation?
I don't know. I worked 6 days straight. Last week and this week.
So quick backstory. So how Chris and I met was, so he and I worked in the same department for what company we worked for, and then he and I ended up being both being mechanics on the same truck or whatever. So working with him or whatever, you with that person day in and day out, whatever, you build that camaraderie, and then it's like how close some people become or whatever the case may be. But I transitioned from that department to another department, so he's still in that same department. They keep that same schedule. So theirs is a Monday through Friday, but when this gets bad weather, I'm already on 12-hour schedule, so they put them on 12 hours.
16.
12, 16, and it's forced because like the lights is out, everything's on fire. You got something you got to do about it, whatever. So it's good and it's bad, but I would love to wake up at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, so you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, roll over.
Yeah, roll over. Well, my alarm's set for 8, so I'm popping up at 8.
About 8:07.
Logging in at 8. Yeah. Hit the
That's a
snooze
long-ass
button.
minute.
Hit
No,
the snooze button.
a lot of minutes.
Probably
So
really
it's
get
quick.
up at 8:07, to be honest. Going to the morning meeting over by like 8:20.
We just walk into the kitchen.
Go
and say,
back to sleep like 9:30 to like 9:30.
Living a life,
Check
man.
my
You know how much
email.
work I did at that time already, man.
Matter of fact, I don't do none of that. I'm on a clock 24/7, making sure stuff get done.
helping the kids.
But nah, this week just been a little stressful because we moving to Long Island, so.
Oh yeah. Congrats again on
Congrats
that.
again.
Man.
Appreciate. So, it's like we gotta pack throughout the day, or I gotta go to the house, make sure stuff is getting done, because we paying these people to fix the
So
crib
quick
up a
question:
little bit.
now that you're moving to LI, you're gonna become one of those snooty snobs where like you park like on the line in a parking spot.
Nah.
You're gonna be mad that they made your coffee wrong.
Nah, I don't even drink coffee. I got
You
a
don't drink
driveway,
Bustelo?
so I'm not parking in the street.
Cafe de
Coffee
Bustelo.
Bustelo.
Yeah, nah, I don't drink coffee. It gives me gas. But yeah, nah, I'm still from the hood. I'll forever be from the hood. I was born and raised Flatbush.
But now you can't walk around the corner and get a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Nah, I gotta.
And it's gonna cost you $9.
Oh,
I
yeah.
ain't gonna lie.
Starbucks,
The
Dunkin'
bacon's
Donuts.
better out there or something.
Nah, I don't know about
Nah,
that.
the
It ain't.
I ain't gonna front. The corner store in my neighborhood is about. It ain't around the corner, but it's like a 3-minute walk.
From the new spot?
Yeah, it's a 3-minute
Oh, that's
walk,
not
and it's
terrible.
slamming. This is the first time ever I seen a corner store where they had like women cooking the food.
Oh,
Like,
word?
Yeah, they on the grill.
So they're making like whole meals.
Bro, they
Yeah,
make
you gotta-
it, and they Spanish, so you
Yeah,
know they
so-
got the rice,
the menu,
everything back
the
there.
menu behind them.
Bro, the
is
menu,
it lit up?
The
You can see
menu,
it?
no, the menu is on a TV in
Oh.
front of them.
Oh.
It's like
Shit
that.
fancy,
Patient-
shit
my
fancy.
Creole accent.
Bro, they make shrimp and grits in there, bro.
That's a breakfast.
Oh, you went to the suburbs,
So,
man.
yeah,
That ain't
you
the
can hit
corner
it with the
store.
call ahead and pick up. Oh,
I don't even know yet, but
Gotta
I'm
try
gonna
that
make sure
out.
I'll
That's
call ahead and
fire.
pick up. And they take food stamps.
Mm.
And they take food stamp on hot food.
Oh, I'm about to ask you about hot food. Yeah.
You got a winner.
That's it right there,
that
baby.
life.
That's you
Life.
You be eating good. We gonna be at your crib every weekend.
Yeah,
Make sure
yeah,
shrimp and
yeah.
grits is there when we get there.
That's a fact.
That's a good corner store.
Alright,
Need
so
that.
let me ask you, right? So now moving to Long Island, and like I said, congrats. I'm super happy for you. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate
That's a fire move.
Yeah, dope move.
Do you feel any kind of way like your upbringing, like how you had to, like, not had to, but how you were raised in the hood, the way that you were raised, the lessons learned, the camaraderie, the different things, the closeness, the in and out, the busting and moving, hustling, catching the buzz, being able to, corner store is not 3-minute walk, it's literally on your block, it's right there, it's 24 hours a day. Do you feel any kind of way like maybe your son is not going to be exposed to that same sort of stuff, or do you feel like it's better that he'll be like in a more suburbia versus growing up like, and when we say hood, we don't mean like some dirty ass shit. It's just we live in the neighborhood. We know it's the hood. It's the closest of it all. Do you look at it any kind of different way, or have you had that conversation or thought?
I did think about it, and for me personally, my son, like, we live in Long Island, but he's gonna go to school in Brooklyn. I'm gonna use my mom's address when he gets a little bit older, and it's easier for me. I don't have to rush to Long Island to pick him up just in case something happens.
You'll be working.
I work in Brooklyn, so since I'm working in Brooklyn, if anything happened, God forbid, I could leave work and go to whatever school he is in Brooklyn. It'll take me. I don't got to get on the highway. It'll probably take me 15 to 20 minutes to get wherever I got to go in Brooklyn.
But going to school in Brooklyn versus like living there, it's not really the same, right? It's kind of like if you lived in the hood but then went to like a school out further out. You know
Nah,
what
it's
I'm saying?
similar. Like high school. I went to high school last year in Harlem. I didn't hang out in Harlem. I came back to Brooklyn. I get on the train, go to school over, get back on the train, get back to Brooklyn.
Right.
Now you know nothing about
but for us,
Harlem or nothing.
for us, Long Island is just where we rest our head. Like,
But
it
what's-
doesn't even matter.
What was the reason why you moved to Long Island instead of staying in Brooklyn?
To be honest with you, if I could get a crib in Brooklyn, I would have stayed in Brooklyn. But the cribs is expensive in Brooklyn. It was like,
No, the cribs is expensive in Long Island. Cribs in Brooklyn is like it's
Nah,
something
that's-
else.
that's
It's
not-
like
that's not expensive.
astronomical,
It's
bro.
something else.
Son,
And then for what you're also getting is
it's
not
just like
not
it wasn't
nearly
where
comparable.
beneficial and financially wise. It was just better to go to Long Island. I could have went to Queens too, but there was really nothing available in Queens. Long Island, they happen to have a decent space.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be like Ghost and Tyreek. You feel me? Like, I don't want my son killing me because I ain't teach him the game. So he's going to grow up knowing the game. He's going to be in the hood most of...
Oh, he's gonna have best of both worlds in the sense.
Yeah.
He's gonna
So
live
you
in
Yeah.
started started out early in Brooklyn.
On the
and-
weekends, you know, maybe when we're home, he'll chill in Long Island with his Long Island friends. But throughout the week and most of his
He gonna be in Brooklyn.
holidays, he'll be in Brooklyn. Because
Okay.
I need him to know how it is, how I grew up, how how he got it easy now. And I'm not even going to make it that easy for him because he's going to have to struggle a little bit so he understands, you know, what we came from. Mm-hmm. His mother and myself, we had to crawl like to get out of.
Yeah, that's for sure what we do.
Yeah, we both had to fight. Like I said, she literally lived up the block from me. I don't know if I told you guys, but she lived across the street.
From your parents' crib?
Nah, from where I grew up in Flatbush.
Oh, Flatbush. Okay.
Yeah, from where I grew up. She lived up the block. We went to the same junior high school. We didn't go to the same high school because, I mean, high school is you got a bunch of high schools to choose from. Mm-hmm. So, but she lived up the block. We went through the same struggles. Like, she's been through a lot. I've been through a lot. He's not going to have it as easy as, you know, he's not going to get whatever he wants. As much as we want to give him whatever we want, and we can.
So what is it you trying to instill in him then at that point? Since, you live in Long Island, and then you have him going to school in Brooklyn. I mean, of course, it's also a convenience thing as far as work. But what are you trying to instill in him as far as, because, you know, typically you hear people talking about, like even myself, but I grew up in Queens. You know, I went through certain things. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a street dude, but at the same time, too, just being from Queens made me a certain kind of way. Where I'm saying, like, what you trying to instill in your kids, in a sense, you know, you got your thugs in the street. But then at the same time, too, I realized also as I got older, you got your thugs in the workforce, too. You got your thugs in every day. They may not be looking like they wearing baggy jeans, but they wear suit and ties, and they muscle with you.
Got you.
So that's kind of what I try to instill in my kids, in a sense, but not in the same kind of street manner. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's different kind of gangsters in a sense.
Yeah.
And they don't look. They ain't wearing the typical baggy jeans.
It's not about their appearance.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not in Long Island, to be honest, and I'm not knocking anyone from Long Island. You don't get that same type of ruggedness, the same type of struggles that, you know, you get from in Brooklyn. You don't even get that in Queens. No offense, but I mean, it's a different type.
It depends on where.
Yeah,
it depends on where. If you up from Hollis, you from Hollis. You feel me?
Where you think I'm from?
Hollis,
Jamaica. You know
there's a lot of. I mean, not talking about like Long Island. I mean, not even calling it left right, Long Island, because you got Left Rack, you got
every Queen got
it's a different ruggedness. It's those type of ruggedness, and then it's the Bronx.
Everybody from the Bronx knows how to fight.
That's just like, that's different. My son would never be in the Bronx. Never go to school in the Bronx.
He hates the Bronx. Yo, anytime we used to go to my man's crib, he'd be like, come on, bro.
The Bronx? Nah.
The Bronx is really not crazy. Like, as you become an adult, you realize it's really not that crazy as you drive.
Son, try being 15, 16 on a train go.
That's what I'm saying. At that point, it feel like, yo, I might as well just go down south. Like, it's a whole commute. It's an OD travel. But shout out to my people in the Bronx, though. We appreciate y'all. We just not coming to see y'all.
Shout out to all the boroughs. But
not Staten Island. I don't know what they doing.
Yeah, I don't know what going on.
How y'all still a borough?
But I want him to have that ruggedness. I want him to be able to, you know, to fight, to go through something. You understand? To be able to just struggle a little bit. You understand? A little bit. Yeah. To get picked on a little bit and know how to get out of it. I don't think in Long Island you're gonna get that type of life. You might.
I mean,
there's still hood in Long Island too.
Nah, there's some.
You only saying that. You only saying that really because you're not from Long Island.
That's what I was saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure I have a few friends from Long Island, and like the difference is like from what I've seen is like they want to come to Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Because they see a lot.
The girls keep coming,
yeah, that's a fact. He came for him. Like Long Island, different. You grow up different. He had a car early. In Brooklyn, we didn't really need a car.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I got a point. We need a car in high school. After high school in Long Island, their parents probably living good. Probably different brackets. So he had a car, so he was able to come to Brooklyn and get the Brooklyn girls easier versus us that's from Brooklyn. And we like, yo, you going with this 16 years? You going with this soft ass? Yeah, you going with this soft ass dude in Long Island out in his car? But I mean, the girls wanted that, so it's just your point of view. I get it because it's like you from a Brooklyn point of view, but I believe like a Long Island person probably would have a different point of view. But I mean,
it's hoods in Long Island.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
And there's certain spots that's real. You could be from Brooklyn, you probably won't even want to touch it because you don't know. Like you don't want to. You can't be in the wrong hood in Long Island.
I remember my man Bones from Wine Dance, like you don't want to be living in Wine Dance either.
You know what I'm saying? You don't be no Queens or Brooklyn dude in Wine Dance.
4 years running, like I'm on the college, like that was the murder capital in not America, in New York. Like their body rate was ridiculous. But I mean, like I said, there's hoods and there's versions of it everywhere. And I feel like a lot of times it is like not really understanding or seeing the other side of the coin, right?
Big time.
Because we know what we don't really want to happen. So we're like, we know what we know, and we want to make sure that we have those same sort of core values, but similarly, right? So you you're from Queens, right? From Hollis and all that kind of stuff. But
I lived in Long Island,
right?
Too,
You know what I'm saying? So your kids, right? So what's the difference of how they were raised, or where, or
like originally, I originally lived in Queens after I moved out, and then I had a spot in Queens, so they went to school in Queens. And then, honestly, the reason why I moved them out of Queens is because of school. I want my kids to have better education. So for me, the simple thing of me wanting to raise my kids with better education, just be a better version of me, if not just better me. So I figured there's certain things, even growing up in Queens, like, school, what I experienced in school, I didn't want them to experience, not for the fact that I didn't want them to struggle. It's like, you go to school, better education. I want to learn better. I want them to progress more. The hood side of it, I want them to be tough, like I was saying before. Like, I want them to still be a different kind of gangster, you know what I'm saying? Like, different kind of, like, power trip. Like, I want you to be able to go in a room with some suits and handle yourself in there. Like, forget the dudes, because even me, I always had a thing, like, even sometimes me and my brother joke around, like, you put me in the hood, I'm going to make you home, in a sense, because I know how to move a certain kind of way. But then my kids don't need to worry about that in a sense if I'm keeping them away from that. So if I put them, let's say, in a situation, that's why I moved to LI, and I was living in Franklin Square. And at the time when I was living over there, like, the schools was great. So even the things that my kids was learning, I didn't learn that as growing up. So again, that was just me making that kind of gangster in a sense. I'm using the word gangster, but more like, in the real world outside the street, and when you trying to make money, like, the sharks is out there, and like I said, they don't look like the typical thug. They look like them dudes wearing suits. They're the dudes that you work with. We work with situations like that where I want my kids to be able to smart and maneuver a certain kind of way where they can make a living for themselves. So I learned that out of living in Long Island, like, there's a different side to it that they're going to live with that for the rest of their life compared to, because like I said, they're going to get older. They're going to want better too. They're going to leave the hood anyway. And there's the other side, it says always better on other tracks. Me growing up, I didn't know it was on the other side of the tracks. And then when I started going to school, I started seeing different kind of people hustling you. They hustle you in a way how they mess up with your money. They hustle you when you're intelligent. I never thought I was a dumb dude, but then they too, I'll be real, I'm a black man. And my kids is black. They black boys. And they gonna try their intelligence every day. It's one thing you trying to your son's gangster, like he's in the hood, what you got on type of thing, and it's a different thing, like, I'm trying to sell you this house, but I'm getting over on your head. Like, you learn that differently. We ain't learning that in school. There's even certain things I didn't learn.
I still don't know that.
Yeah, like, my kids was learning money being alive more so.
That's a great
learning when they was in. I didn't learn about that. I mean, luckily I got older brothers, so they taught me about my bread. But I didn't learn that. And I'm watching my kids do certain stuff in school. They got a whole different thing. So I get the part what you saying as far as the toughness of it. I think that's something that's in me that I learned from being from Queens.
Yeah.
But then there's another side that I ain't gonna lie, I was a little dumb for a couple of years. Because like I said, even the fact that I'll be telling people, I'm like, I didn't go to school with white people. So then now I'm working with white folk. I'm going to school with white people. I didn't know that other side.
It's not the school. That's the school for you.
Yeah.
Because you're learning that now.
I'm learning. I didn't know how to maneuver around them like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm only looking at it as, I want my kids, like you said, I want my kids to have that toughness to them because they're going to have that toughness with them all their life. But I also want them to be better than me because I still had a little bit of I wouldn't even call it an anchor, but I was distant from other things in reality. I think we were talking sometimes, it's like, when I got to a different even department at work, started being around different kind of people, I started thinking differently. I wasn't traveling until I got to a different type of group of people that I was around. I want my kids to have that same kind of aspect. But again, I don't want them to lose that toughness in them because they always going to be fighting, no matter what, especially as, like I said, as black boys, they always going to be fighting.
And I don't mean like physically getting into a fight, but I need them to be able to, like you said, you step into a room to be able to defend what's yours.
Yeah.
You understand?
Right.
You be able to, coming from Brooklyn, I felt it.
All right, now question.
Me.
Now question. I'm sorry to cut you off. You know I cut you off. Do you think your son have to get that from going to Brooklyn? You don't
That
think
was my next
So
question.
you stole
Yeah.
my whole
Nah,
process.
nah.
Because
See,
my story is fits right
Hold
into.
on, 1 second.
to
I want
your
to answer
joint.
this though.
In the same token, his mom and dad is from Brooklyn, so he's gonna get it regardless. But I need him to experience it a little bit. So like I said, he don't end up like Tyreek, and you got it all, but you still wanna. And it's crazy because I see it growing up. There's a bunch of Tyreeks out there. It's kids who I grew up with. Their family is doing real good. But
Yeah,
they still want to
chasing.
scam.
But
they
the
still
reality
want to
too-
make that quick bread.
Right, 'cause
You can just ask your
parenting.
pops for the
Yeah.
bread. But I want my son to understand that mom and dad, may have some money, but it took us some time to get to where we are.
Literally, like our parents, it didn't grow on a tree.
Yeah, it didn't.
Exactly.
It didn't grow on a tree. It didn't. And when my mom and dad used to say it, I used to think that they full of it because they all got jobs and you should be able to give me it when I need it. But I need him to really understand. Now that I'm older, I need him to understand.
Now, me, how I feel, me raising my son, like I kind of want the hood thing, like him to get that toughness, but I also feel the same that I don't want him to get that mental toughness from out there. I'd rather be the one to teach it to him or him.
Because it was rough the way you learned it.
You can't learn it without actually being a part of it.
Yeah, but no, depending on how you learn it.
Yeah.
Depending on now, it's my thing. Cause my son's still small, so I feel like soon I get my goals I want to accomplish, I'm gonna buy a house and get this rolling. I'm trying to get out the hood, and it's nothing bad about the hood. It's just that I'd rather not have him around it as much as possible. But I know if I don't know, he got my mom, everybody, all my friends, family is still in Brooklyn, so I would want him to go to Brooklyn on some weekend tip versus school wise. If I had the choice, I'd rather him not go to school in Brooklyn because I feel like the Brooklyn school system, for me personally, is not good.
It's not.
How you said Long Island, you went, you
got
learned
a
better
better
stuff. So
life,
you know what I'm saying? I'd rather have him in school elsewhere, or it could be Brooklyn. He could find a good school somewhere to charter. I don't know. That's something I will look into when the time comes.
For me personally, it's not that it's a twofold. Brooklyn schools is not worse off than Long Island schools. They just prepare you differently. Mm-hmm. I feel like working in a Brooklyn school and having been going to school in Brooklyn public school, they kind of sort of what my goal is to make sure I'm preparing all these kids for life. Right. Not even college, just life in general. Life in general. Yeah.
Someplace.
In Long Island, you get the education, you get all the knowledge that you need, but I don't think they prepare you for life at all.
They actually do. That's the crazy part because there were certain things that they teach in my kids that the simple thing of I'm thinking they went to the bank. They showed them how to get a bank account. They had a trip to the bank account to the bank.
He's talking about too, right?
And I'm I didn't have that. Like I said, I learned writing. I mean, it just happened when my mom was just on her thing. Just so you gotta learn how to do this stuff. But then, how many parents is doing that with their kids?
Now let me ask this question for everyone. Do you think as parents and men that it's also your duty to teach your kids certain things and don't rely on the school system? Or
100%.
You know what I'm saying? No. I'm saying a simple fact. A simple fact that your example you used, the school told them to go to the bank, open up an account. Along the situations of line, it may be some things you want to teach. It's some things that I know that I want to teach my kid. I want to, he learned that from me. I told him that. So if he don't come to school, he already know.
Yeah.
He already sharp on his toes. Oh, my dad already told me that already.
But I know how to do that. But it's also the thing is even as a guidance counselor, let's be real. Our kids when they go to school, they with the school more than they with us. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, depending on what the kids are seeing in school, they come home and ask more questions. Mm-hmm. So the school isn't giving new things to them. That also, in a sense, it's a hand-in-hand thing. So while the teacher's giving something to think about, it's something for them to come home and ask us questions about. So my son go to the bank and say about writing a check. He now knows about debit cards. He see cards in my wallet. He's like, "Oh, what kind of card is it?" He's joking around. Check your credit on Credit Karma. He's talking about stuff because he's adding one thing from the other.
Right.
Yeah, because the school's bringing it to him. He's asking me about money. He's seeing money. He know our work. He's putting things together because that's what kids do. They put things together. So if at school they doing this, and then you have a reason to bring it at home. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if I'm just saying, let's be real. We grew up. Our parents weren't even saying something else. We don't listen that much. But if you get reinstilled in you, I'm teaching you about writing checks. And then you go to the school and they write in checks at school, it's gonna get more instilled in them. Mm-hmm. But then it's the same thing. The school's only writing about checks and you ain't teaching them. Then it's just gonna be another learning curve for the child at the end of the day.
I feel like most primary lessons should start at home.
Yeah,
I understand the difficulties in that because of time constraints, having to make sure that you work, all the other things that go into running a home. You might not necessarily have the time for that, but I feel like the same way we have the times in order to do the things we want to do, like you make time for what you want to. Like I said, I know how difficult it can be, especially as a parent, and like a day like today, like running around, like I have not stopped since waking up at 4:30 this morning, like. But
that's
I understand. I know, right? But I understand how what happened. So, like my story personally, like I feel like I'm like 50-50 with it, right? Because I feel like I was raised in the hood, but certain circumstances, primarily I would say for the first 12 years, kept me sheltered, like put me in a bubble in that hood. So it's like.
That's parents. It's your parents.
So like my father.
But he went to private school
for
though.
a long time. You was raised around the corner from the hood.
How does the hood cut off? How does the hood doesn't really? Anyways,
it's the hood, and then you on the block right here. Like you gotta cut through the hood
to get to his block.
Listen, y'all done all been to my crib before, so
he in the outskirts.
Listen, you know what I mean? But anyhow, but so like I said, I was where I went to school, whatever. But that was only like 4 blocks from my crib, right? So in the mornings when we had to go to school, my father worked for the church that my school was a part of. So he started work at 9, so he would just drop us to school, park, and then go to work. And when we finished school, either we had like activities afterwards, like PAL or something like that, or we would just walk home or whatever. So for those first few years, it wasn't really like my exposure to what we call the hood. Like it wasn't the same. But as I started like 7th, 8th grade, walking home, having to go through, like I walked through the hood to get home. Certain situations, like I didn't have my first real fight until like 8th grade. It wasn't even in school. It was like I'm going to go home and somebody's trying to press me. I'm like, I don't even know what the situation really is. Like I didn't really understand. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like I didn't.
It is what it is.
Like the things that they asking me and all that kind of stuff. Like I didn't really understand the situation until they trying to put hands on me. So now it's just like
because you quit.
That's wearing already and all that kind of stuff. But that's what I'm saying. So it was like, now I'm gonna say, oh, it was a disservice. It's just my parents would know. My parents knew where we were, and they seen what was going on. Cause like my older brother, obviously older than me, he was dealing with things, but I'm 6 years younger than him, so I'm not. When he's coming home and dealing with something, they're not telling me what happened or what transpired or whatever. Like I remember one day, my father had to call his best friend, and then they had to go pick my brother from the library. What the fuck pick him up from the library for? But he walked. But it's literally on Notion up the block. Yeah. So they wanted my brother's hat. He had this new Mets hat or whatever case may be. They wanted his hat. And my brother was like, "You're bugging, hell no." So he started fighting in the library or whatever, and security broke it up. But that whole block is crip. So now the whole block is outside. We're looking for my brother. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very dark and scary situation because we know exactly. Because think about it, your parent coming to get you, they don't care that they don't care my dad. They would probably off my pops. They don't give a damn. But I understand what my parents were talking about. So now me getting outside and being exposed, and now like I'm not going to another private school. Like I'm going to public school, and now being outside and seeing the world and understanding those kind of things, it's like, yo, I wish they would allow me to expose myself to those things earlier.
Question. Being that you went to private school, would you rather your son go to private school or public school? And even your daughter, would you?
So
she's
my
going to high school next year.
So my daughter, no, she's in high school now. So my daughter,
she's
she started in public school right across the street from my old high school actually. So she was in public school. We put her in charter school for a better education, which by far it was way better. It's a public school, but it's charter school, whatever, right? So
you can say that because you don't work in the school system. A charter school, bro, you can be any one of us could be, as long as you come out of college with a bachelor's degree, you can be a teacher in a charter school.
So what I'm saying is, having known children in more recent years who have been in high school and with the curriculum and what they're bringing home and doing,
is much better.
And what they're, for instance, right now, I mentioned before, we're having a problem with her high school, right? From 7th grade to 8th grade, she was already doing high school algebra 1 and algebra 2. So now she's in algebra 1. She's complaining. She's like, "Yo, this class is annoying. I hate it. Whatever. I'm like, what's going on?" So she's like, "I've been through this." So we spoke to the teacher. So last 3-4 days, we had to get her transcript because they didn't say high school credit. They just put higher education credit. So I guess somebody misread it because they put it on her degree on her transcript, and as well as for certain region things. So she should have been already in a higher class. So now she's in algebra. The second version of Algebra 1, she's like, yo, I don't understand what's going on. So now they're going to be switching her next week into a different class because we were able to put her in charter school, which put her ahead, right? So back to your question. For me, I would like both. What I would like is very early on to have him in a more private setting to get some of those fundamentals really early on to maybe until like junior high school. Yeah, but after that, you need to be outside. You need to, because even if you're in private school, in high school, you're still going by yourself. There's still social media now. There's so much things out there that you need to be aware of. Like Chris was saying, there's wolves in so many different kind of clothing that you want to be aware of. It's not just having the fisticuffs and knowing how to fight. Yeah, you do want to know, make sure your child can defend themselves if they're on the bus or they're coming home from school or whatever the case may be. Or guess what? He might be visiting the hood on the weekend and he goes to the corner store. So now it's a situation. But you got to know how to move. Like, don't have your music blasting. You know what I'm saying?
But
don't have your stuff tucked out. Make sure that whatever it is, right? That's what I'm saying. So those are certain things you got to teach from home. But there are also some certain things where it's just
they gotta see it.
As much as you might say it, sometimes they got to see it. So now when I'm with my daughter, I'm outside. Like, I've been living in my neighborhood for all my life. I've lived in the same building, like I mentioned before. So my hood is my hood. Like, I've been living in my whole life. So when I'm outside with her, I want to make sure I'm making sure she's paying attention to something. I'm like, yo, like when you walk by the store, whatever the case may be, these guys might not mess with you or whatever the case may be because they know that who you with or who you belong with. But you might go 3-4 blocks down and you got to travel to school. You got to do those kind of things. So don't put have your headphones on. When you're outside, you have a new iPhone. Don't be having it out. Just be all on your phone. You know what I'm saying? Certain things that you do want to teach from home that you should be and be more mindful, being attentive. But there are also things in school. I feel like when you get to high school now, those social interactions, learning how those things happen, having conflict, having situation where maybe petty beef between a couple of girls, a couple of guys, whatever the case may be. Understanding those social cues and building relationships. And I feel like that's one thing that if I could be able to blend it all together from
that's where
suburbia, I feel like one thing that they show them or instill in them from those sort of environments is that networking and that knowing how to build relationships. We build it based off of proximity. Like we're close to who's going in my direction. You kind of being forced and funneled into those sort of things. But out there, it's like the whole school, like people know each other. They know this. Your parents do this. I do this. We are interning for this. We have these opportunities, and those things make you so well rounded. So that if you decide to go off to college, it's not new to be around other people because you know how to build those kind of things. So for me, I kind of feel like where we rest our heads, I would want it in a quote unquote safer, more calm environment. Where like you might. Listen, I have the house. We good. The kids can play outside when they want to. I'm not worried about 1,000 fireworks going off. I'm not really worried about fire. I'm not worried about
this summer fireworks.
I don't want to worry about a shootout. I don't want to have to worry like every day somebody's coming off the train. Like now the big thing, people push people off trains and all that kind of stuff. But if I happen to put you in that environment.
You gotta be able to know how to maneuver.
There are certain things you just instinctively I get it, whatever. And then you get your first job, you know how to talk to people. You know how to communicate. Not everybody got to be rough and talking crazy because they disrespect you. Like you gotta learn how to work and curse people out.
Professional. On their level.
And that's an art that I love to do to people. Like I disrespect you so cleanly.
I think like being Haitian kind of hindered a lot of that just growing up. I don't know about you too.
It's very sheltered in the sense too.
Yeah, because my parents is like they don't think you're really gonna get into anything if you mind your business.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I feel like Sion, who's American, he's like
till this day, right? So my North Face is red. Till this day, when I go visit my mom, she's like, "Why you wear that color? You know these kids outside." Ma,
see,
money. Like, what do you mean?
Damn, you that old, Steve? That's crazy. Like, I'm stuffing this shit out on you, like, bro, it's like, what are we doing right now?
When I was in the, I want to say 9th grade. I'm waiting at the bus stop, 9th grade. This is Valentine's Day. You understand, bro? I'm on Dorchester, crimped out. Like, I got on an all red Dickie suit. Son pressed me. I'm like, bro, it's Valentine's Day. Like,
just for the holiday,
bro, I got a cartoon drawn on the back of my on my Dickie suit. Like, I'm not out here to start no trouble. It's Valentine's Day. But you understand?
But think about it, right? But now, hypothetically speaking, you have a kid who was very sheltered. Now, I'm gonna go see this girl I've been talking to. Like, back in the day, what was it, MySpace or Skonex, something like that. And now I got your red on, it's Valentine, bringing some roses or whatever. But now she in the crib hood. if you've never been around any of that at all,
not gonna know what to do.
they're gonna just you're
Fold.
walking.
But let's be real. Naturally, as parents, though, you want to protect your kids. Like at the end of the day. So even what we're saying right now sounds cute. But then as you see your kid get older, because before when they small, I'm thinking like he's gonna have to go through this. I'm thinking you're gonna have some J's on your feet. You're gonna do this and that. And then as of now, I'm in my parent mode. Like, I don't need you to be worrying about all the materialistic things. I need you to focus on growing up and getting better. I was telling my kids, stay a kid. Trust me, that time is short. You don't want to be a grown up. Like, enjoy every bit of it. Mm-hmm. So some of that stuff makes them grow up a little bit too fast. Because let's be real, growing up where we grew up, you had to grow up. Like, you see the kids. I look at my kids. My son that's 14 and my son at 10 ain't me when I was 10 and 14.
That's a big fact.
So the big thing is that we also got to realize we in a different time now.
Whole different time.
So everything we're saying, and let's be real too.
They moving way different than I was.
So what we saying right now too, we still gotta keep a short leash on our kids because how we was moving, we would scrap up more so quicker than these kids would really shoot somebody. Mm-hmm. So what we trying to instill or let our child get in, it's almost like
it may be wrong the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
it's not how niggas
listen,
moving.
we just learning this dad thing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
that's why we appreciate Chris being here, right?
Because that's what I'm saying. Like, because I'll be real, my kids ain't like me. Like they and I like it though.
But do you think it's because they're not from the hood? Because your kids are not from the hood. It don't sound like it.
No, they're not. And
do you think that's the reason why?
The thing is, a lot of it is I realize, and I don't know if you ever seen it. I ain't no thug. I ain't no hood.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But at the same time too, I'm tough.
I'm good. I'm Messiah. I'm good.
I'm a tough. I got tough personality anyway. Not only like I'm pushing people out the way type of thing, but that's probably the most street they're gonna get out of me because at the end of the day, it's like I'm the only person that I was telling my kids like, the streets ain't gonna love you the way I love you. So me being harsh on you is with love compared to the dude on the street being harsh with you. That's what straight hate.
I'm gonna use that for my son. So the streets ain't gonna love you.
So when I'm saying, I say that with everything, and let's be real, it goes down to the simple thing. Even moving with, I mean, I don't want to go so far for it, but even with cops type situation, like we be watching stuff with kids acting a certain kind of way. I don't want my kid to be that disrespectful kid. Mm-hmm. That I need you, like I said, I want you to leave the crib and know how to come back the same way.
So
because
I'm glad that you said
let me finish that because
the streets ain't gonna love you.
Back to the streets.
But the reality is that that's what I said. We also, and I guess because I got older kids, it's like the reality is like everything y'all saying, I've been there in that aspect of it. But then as they get older,
it changes.
They changes because. My son 14 that's told me my son 10, he's still my baby. Yeah. And I'm like, dudes that be looking like me, we still gonna check you regardless of the fact. So
it's a fact.
I don't want him to experience that honesty. I don't want him to experience the waiting for the bus thing. I don't want him to be whatever like that.
I agree.
But that doesn't mean you have to go through it in a sense to be tough.
This is a disclaimer for the people out there. Just because we got our opinion on how we want to raise our kids, and saying that we don't want them to go through certain things.
That's the right way.
We're not talking down on nobody who's living that kind of way. I mean, we gotta throw that disclaimer out there. You know what I'm saying? We have our own personal preference on what we're looking for and what we're trying to do. That is all.
We still figuring it out.
It's nothing wrong with any of that stuff.
That's why
we got our preference.
That's why I add on my end because it's like you guys got the younger ones, so it's like I'm like 13 years ahead of the situation. So even what you've seen, like what you want, but then when your kid has his own personality, you start realizing that ain't the direction he's going. Yeah. Like you got some kids that they're runts. They got that personality from jump. Like he's a fighter. He's the kid pushing the kids in the sandbox.
That's my son.
My kid was the talker. My son, he's the talker. He got that personality. Everybody loves him.
You want to fight me? Wait.
Then my other one is like he won't hurt a fly. Like he's chilling. He ain't no punk necessarily, but he's just chilling.
I wouldn't say that I would ever want to push my kids to be in those scenarios, or I don't even want to put them in this predicament where they're in those scenarios. Yeah. I just want to make sure that
they're aware.
Yeah, right. They're just keenly aware that things aren't always as they seem that they
100%.
are, and that we have the ability to scan a room or a situation and be able to pick out and see how things are, how things maneuver. And like I said, my goal and my objective is to try to make my children as worldly as possible. I want whether I pick my kid up and drop him in Colombia or Dubai or London or wherever it is. Hopefully not for that instance. But wherever they go, whatever room or setting that they're in, that one, they command respect just off the strength of the way that they carry themselves, but they also understand how to move and how to maneuver, right? I'm saying? So like I said, not every battle is won on a battlefield. You know what I'm saying?
But you also gotta know when it's time to walk off the battlefield because you ain't gonna win that battle.
Like I'm not looking to promote anybody's movies or any of that kind of stuff. But have you guys watched American Skin?
No.
So without even giving anything away or whatever the case may be, it's not a typical movie. I would recommend people to watch it with their children just for the certain lesson point of it all. But
he's one, bro.
Not everybody's kid at home is one. Thanks, Steve. But my daughter's also 14, so you want to show certain things where the things that the kids are learning in school, right? So the guy's son is learning about his constitutional rights and what happens, or what the case may be. And his father and his friend, the father put him in a better school district, quote unquote, whatever. So they're teaching a little bit more in depth about certain situations. So he finds himself the child finds himself in a predicament, trying to study with a friend and his buddy, but in an old environment, and having a conversation in the context of like, well, according to the Constitution, if I get pulled by the police, I have the right to do . And so the friend is arguing like, no, bro, like I understand what this paper says, but it's not the case. And the father comes in and he's like, yo, I gotta talk to you about this. And he's like, no, his friend is black.
Oh, okay.
So the father's like, nah, tell the friend, don't hang up on the video chat. You gotta hear this too. Like, when you get in a situation and that or whatever, you gotta move like this, that, and the third. I don't care what that paper says. I don't care what the TV tells you. I don't care what your social media, your Instagram, none of that stuff tells you. There's certain ways that are still instilled in American ways, in world ways, that you need to be keenly aware of. And so the boy, they get pulled over and he's like, I want a videotape, . It's like you gotta be able, from home, teaching them certain lessons in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just has to be as gruesome as dealing with the police, just dealing with people in general. I'm gonna teach my son, if you're on the train or the bus and there's an older person, you're gonna give up your seat. If there's a pregnant person, you're gonna give it, show them chivalry, but also not to the point where you're being disrespected. So understand how to walk the line and just observe and pay attention to certain situations, educated from home. And I feel like as good as school systems can be, certain things need to be taught at home. And those values and stuff, and we see those in kids, right? In the way that certain people might act out. You can see mild-mannered children and children who are taught certain manners versus kids who are a little bit more pressed or a little bit more off the cuff with certain situations. And at the end of the day, all of us, in any sense of it, are products of our environments. And depending 100%. On what environments we put them in and the lessons that we're taking from them. And I feel like also, too, we don't necessarily need to baby our children. I feel like we need to have real life conversation with our kids 100%. And talk to them. Yeah, I tell my daughter all the time, listen, me and you are great. We're cool. I am not your friend. I am your father. I am not your friend. We can be cool. We can hang. We can do whatever the case may be. I was out the other day and she's asking like, oh, can I get this particular ice cream? No, it's no problem. We can have that. We can watch whatever movies and talk stuff and play video games. But I'm still your parent. And as much as you might not like certain things, certain lessons, these little small microscopic things are preparing you for a better life.
A bigger picture.
A bigger picture. I learn how to talk to people. When I call your name, it's not what, who. You must be on your rabid mind.
But what you said though, that's definitely stuff you teach from home. Cause like even when we talk about being and raised in a Haitian house, so we probably was growing up like, dang, you ain't letting me do nothing. Yeah. But then now I look back now as an adult, there's certain things about me that was I couldn't stand it, but that's why I move a certain kind of way now. Like, but there's also certain things too where it's like I don't know, like you almost be to a point where I feel that, how can I put it? Like you was almost afraid to say certain things also, because that's also a thing in the household sometimes you are withdrawn from doing. And then I try to, like, that's one thing I try to instill in my kids, like, yo, say what you got to say.
Speak up.
But I wasn't taught necessarily that. Yeah. You know, you was always, but then I realized that's also very important outside of the house. And I don't mean that you saying,
squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah, but then in reality, when you growing up a certain type of way, again, I think every parent, like, my kids are going to be better parents than me. I think, and we're learning from whatever we didn't like, we take and pick and choose whatever our parents did with us that you feel like you could have did without and what we could have did with.
Yeah.
And, like, one thing I always want to tell my kids, like you said, I ain't your friend. I'm your dad, but then I want you to be able to tell me everything.
Yeah.
When you go out this house and this world is crazy now. I always tell my son, you let me know if somebody touched you. Like, let me know these type of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you feel, and I got your back 100%. I don't want your kid to think, my kids to ever think that you can't say certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But that also builds another bigger thing too, where is that, when you was in school, the teacher's saying something, come home and tell me the teacher, I'm gonna handle it. I had situations where, tell me that, don't handle that. Like, that's my job to handle. When there's another side too, where we have certain things, and I think that comes in from, I don't know, maybe we in the city sometimes. The teacher was always right. You was always wrong, and then mom always took whatever. And I used to think some teachers didn't like me. I never thought I was a dunk game. I'm like, yo,
definitely just
yeah.
like us.
But then it was just like,
Like
but that's the other world. Like, that's why I
Personally.
say there's certain things that I honestly, overall, I want to say, even everybody listening, it's like, I don't think that being in the hood and then being in the suburbs is not necessarily the same thing. But there's certain things you get from different sides. Because me being a dude from Queens, Brooklyn, or whatever, there was just one side of everything. And then moving to Long Island, I saw a whole nother world. Then even working, I worked in a whole nother world. As I didn't experience that till my teenage years, my 20. And I say what I say now about moving and doing certain things, because the sooner your kids get introduced to those things, the more advanced that they are. It's like when we talk about buying houses and stuff like that. Like, if we knew, like, if people talk about financial literacy. If you know literacy at being literal about finances in your teenage years at 10 years old, then at 20 years old, they're gonna be doing what we trying to do at 30. Yeah. So why not keep on that going? And I'm not saying that you can't learn in the hood, but it's different kind of aspects of it. But then I as a parent, I said that I was withdrawn from certain things because being in the hood, in a sense too, you see, we're what's the word? We're depressed. Like, we're not giving something, like what you saying before about living in Brooklyn. You can't even buy in the place you grew up in, because let's be real, people with more money that they ain't from where we from was able to buy our property. So then, how do you get there? You go to those places where those people are living. You get the education they're getting. I mean, real, people talk about infiltrating. That's my way of infiltrating. My kid is my infiltrator. I make him the smart one, so my name continue going on. That's where it
becomes. I out the hood. I don't know what's.
I think that was extremely well put, Chris, and I appreciate that. And I think one of the biggest things that we talked about here, one of the greatest lessons that we mentioned today, is a lot of what's happened has stemmed from learning at home, right? It's us molding and making better versions of ourselves and making out there. So whether or not we want to raise our children in the quote-unquote hood or in a more suburban environment, it's more about starting at home and being able to expose them to different elements to try to make them as well-rounded as possible. So we can pick and take. Exactly. We can pick and choose different sort of places. And if you don't even know, if you don't have the opportunity, right, you yourself as a parent can, you can go and figure out and learn those kind of things, and they'll make it a homeschooling kind of situation. Like, on the weekend, I want to talk my kid about this, or you know what, let me take my kid to show them what the bank account works like. Like, I learned how to do banking because every Saturday my dad sat at the table and did his bills.
Father still do it.
I'm like, bro, you can hit a button on the phone and it's there.
And at the time, I just
gotta get this check.
And like Chris said, like, my father became my best friend as I was an adult. But when I was a child, there was a very fine line. Like, no, I'm your father. And so I think having those relationships, understanding, your kids, and understanding that your kids aren't you the same way you aren't your parents. And understanding that, we want to teach and show and grow. And we learned a lot from our children the same way that they continue to learn from us. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you guys have comments, conversation pieces, thoughts on it, feel free to comment, send us emails, feedback. Like I said, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Real quick, this episode reminds me.
Come on, Steve, man. What more you gotta say, man?
Come on, CD.
I don't know son name, but his son got like a dreads. And he told
I know
his
you're
son
talking about. Yeah, I don't know his name.
Real estate.
Real estate. This episode remind me of that.
And that's a great point. Like, showing his son.
Yeah, he taught his son so much. Like, he taught me while teaching his son.
Exactly. Yeah. I know the kid you talking about, the father. I can't remember his name.
One thing I would say right before we end.
We ended it already.
We did it.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
But one thing, like, people always say is like knowledge is power, and I don't believe that. I feel like applied knowledge is power, because you can know a whole bunch of stuff, but if you don't use it or know how to use it,
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Pointless.
Yeah, common sense.
All right, y'all. Be safe.
We love y'all, people.
Dada. Dada. Dada.